Senator Wong.
Thank you, Mr President. My question is also to the Minister representing the Minister for Trade and Investment, Senator Payne, and I refer to the government's $25 million taxpayer-funded advertising campaign on the Australia-China Free Trade Agreement. And can the minister explain to the Senate how this government justifies a multi-million-dollar cash splash on government spin while cutting billions from health, education and family payments?
Order. The Minister for Human Services representing the Minister for Trade and Investment, Senator Payne.
I'm not going to, as the Minister representing the Minister for Trade and Investment, to comment on a future advertising campaign itself. But what I might ask, Mr President,
on my left.
I don't know where the Shadow Minister was on budget night. I've got no idea where the Shadow Minister was on budget night, but if you turn your mind to budget paper number 2, budget measures part 2, expense measures, foreign affairs and trade, and you go to the item under free trade agreement promotion, and as best as I recall, Mr President, the budget was handed down in May. But apparently, in the Shadow Minister's press release, this is a revelation. It's a revelation, Mr President, and I'm fortunate enough to have the document here. Revelations that Tony Abbott will spend tens of millions of dollars. The budget was, in fact, revelatory on so many levels, Mr President, because it was such a superb budget. But calling it from May to September to August revelatory, Mr President, is bordering on high farce. It's hardly a secret, Mr President. Here we go. Let me quote for those opposite. The government will provide $24.6 million over 2 years from 2015-16 to promote business understanding of the recently concluded free trade agreements in North Asia and to assist businesses to access and maximise their benefits under these agreements. Advocacy and outreach activities will take place in both Australia and in target offshore markets. Some secret, Mr President, some revelation, Mr President. It's called the budget.
Thank you, Minister. Order on my right. On my right. Order on my right. Order. Order. Senator Wong.
Thank you, Mr President. I refer to the MOU on investment facilitation arrangement negotiated as part of the CAFTA, which sets out migration arrangements for Chinese-funded infrastructure projects valued at just $150 million or more. Can the minister confirm that the MOU states, and I quote, "There will be no requirement for labour market testing to enter into an investment facilitation arrangement"?
Order. Order. On my right. On my right. The order. The question asked by order. On my left. Senator Cameron. Senator Lyons. Order. Senator Wong's question, whilst could be construed as not being supplementary, in the context of the advertising in relation to the free trade agreement, I think I'll allow it to stand. Senator Payne, Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr President. I don't have the MOU with me, Mr President, but what I do have is the Investment Facilitation Agreement Project Agreement Operation Flowchart, which is part of the China-Australia Free Trade Agreement. Well, no, I just thought a diagram might be more helpful because you clearly can't understand the words.
Order. On my right.
Got that? So I made it very clear, Mr President, I made it very clear earlier that the need for, under the 457 visa arrangements that currently exist, that these arrangements sit within those as well. Senator Cash has made that quite clear previously. The commitments not to apply I said to the Shadow Minister that I don't have the MOU with me, but I am endeavouring to address the clear guidelines that the Department of Immigration and Border Protection have set out, which I referred to in my earlier answer, which is that employers must show the DIVP that there is demonstrated labour market need.
Order, Minister. On my left and on my right. On my right. On my right. Senator Wong. Final supplementary
Thank you,
question.
Mr President. I again refer to the MOU, the words of the MOU. There will be no requirement for labour market testing to enter into an investment facilitation arrangement. Not a flowchart, the words of your agreement. With the number of unemployed Australians standing at 800,000, the highest in more than 20 years, why is this government scrapping labour market testing safeguards and engaging in a taxpayers-funded spin campaign for an agreement that risks Australian jobs?
On both sides. Senator Back. Senator McDonald. Minister. Minister.
Thank you. Sorry, Mr President, I couldn't hear you. Of course, I am very happy to try again to read to the Shadow Minister the clear guidelines with regard to IFAs. Employers must show the Department of Immigration and Border Protection that there is demonstrated labour market need. Australians have been given the first opportunity through evidence of domestic recruitment activity, i.e. labour market testing, and there are no suitably qualified Australians. I am quoting, Mr President, from the Department of Immigration and Border Protection guidelines. I will support Senator Wong with a copy of the chart, if that would be helpful to her. And of course, I would note in appreciation the government's thanks to Professor the Honourable Bob Carr, Director of the Australia-China Relations Institute at UTS, who, as I understand it, has most recently endorsed the China-Australia Free Trade Agreement.
Thank you,
Perhaps
Minister.
Senator
The
Wong's
time
familiar
for
with
answering
him.
the question has expired. Senator Abetz.